Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. I'm just down here on the Museum of Contemporary Arts side of Circular Quay, just in front of the jetties, the wharfs, and would like to just kick off another 5am Club with a book summary. It's a wonderful book, and I've touched on this book before, so I've done a previous book club on this, Jim's 5am Club on this book. But because it's got so much information in it and so many good points and life hacks, I thought I'd just revisit it and just pick out another interesting area of discussion and cover it off today. So the book is entitled A Beautiful Constraint. A Beautiful Constraint, and it's got a dual authorship of Adam Morgan and Mark Barden. Adam Morgan and Mark Barden wrote this beautiful book called A Beautiful Constraint, and in a nutshell it talks about the importance of embracing constraint and not resisting it, not fighting against it, but understanding that our world is constrained. Even though we've got lots of choices, sometimes those choices that we have are in fact an illusion. And the more choices you have in life, then sometimes the less freedom you have, because you get caught up in assessing which choice to make. You get caught up in analysis paralysis, and for many people they end up making no choice, or whatever choice they make, they end up feeling as if they've made the wrong choice, and pained and suffer throughout the rest of their days, wondering what it would have been like if they'd chosen the other option or gone with the other box. But as we've said time and time again, we'll never know. We'll never know what the other box has in it, because we get to unravel one choice at a time, and the box next time round could be a different box, even though it's got the same number, the same wrapping, and may look the same. It may be another box, and you may get tricked, and you go to open it only to find out that the contents are worse than the previous box that you opened. So let's continue, let's kick on with what we're talking about here. So one of the main themes out of this wonderful book is that restraints are the grist that create the pearl. How does that sound? Restraints are the grist that create the cultured pearl. Because a pearl can't be created unless there's an irritant or something in there which causes it to fight against itself, to get over it or to get through it. So the author makes a very, very bold point, something worth noting, especially for the young people out there, that constraint or limitations lead to innovation. Because the less choices you have, and just think back to when you were a kid, when your parents told you you can't do this, you can't do that, you always found a loophole. You always found another way of getting it done while staying within the rules and obeying what your parents told you. It's all a matter of interpretation, isn't it? And lawyers spend a whole lifetime defending people and finding reasons and loopholes as to why the person did whatever they did, and they did it because it was a sound reason to do it. So once again, let's sit up and pay attention and understand that we need to embrace constraint, embrace limitations. And I remember years ago going to a seminar where there was a person who was a quadriplegic, and he made a very bold statement saying, well, there may be 1,000 things that I can't do now that I can't walk, but surely there are 100,000 things that I still can do. I just need to change my focus and focus on what I can do as opposed to what I can't do. Which leads us to the next point, where the way you perceive, or the way I perceive, or the way we perceive constraint allows us to deal with it. So there are three mindsets that the author talks about that we'll try and elucidate on. And the first mindset is the worst one. I absolutely hate the following mindset. And the mindset is the mindset of a victim. Oh, why me? It always happens to me. But sadly, the victim mentality is the one which is disempowering, because what it does is that the victim sees constraint as limiting. So it lowers ambition, it lowers drive, it lowers the need to do what it needs to do in order to achieve one's goals. And the victim will always be the one who blames others for the reason why they couldn't live a fulfilling life, the reason why they couldn't experience the full spectrum of life. So the victim mindset is one that we need to avoid, and yet we're surrounded by people who are always complaining, are always blaming others, especially children. Children, pay attention. Don't be the victim. Don't play the victim. Don't limit your outcomes and your future. And the reason why you're doing it may be because of your mindset. So let's look at the other mindsets. The second mindset that the author talks about is a neutralizer. And a neutralizer will see a limitation or a constraint or a restraint, but they'll see it for what it is. They'll see it as a roadblock. But just like we have a blocked artery in our heart, there are ways to get around it, because there are other arteries, there are other veins which allow blood to get around that blocked part. And once again, children are masters of being neutralizers. Just think of your 1-year-old who has just started to walk, and you try and constrain them, restrain them by blocking their path. They'll find a way of walking around it, over it, through it, under it, you name it. They'll find a way, and they'll just keep on going until they get to where they want to get to, even if it means that they will whinge and cry, but they'll push and try to achieve their goal. So that's a more empowering mindset. The victim mindset is the one that we all need to avoid at all costs. The neutralizer is something that we can live with and deal with. But the third one is probably the most empowering one, and it's the transformer. Just like those toys or those games or those TV shows, those cartoons. I don't know if you've ever seen a transformer, but a transformer is one who can morph into a different being or a different person to be able to get over, through, and organise themselves. And the transformer is the one who is able to reshape the goal. So they see that they've got a goal, and the transformer will work out what's the best way of getting there once they've understood and ascertained the landscape of limitations. So there are three things there for you to consider in terms of mindset. But we've got to learn one thing. We live in a world of abundance, but we're surrounded by attitudes of scarcity. So you need to learn how to accept and embrace limitations, constraints, and all those things, and take them at face value, and be the sort of person who is fueled, that you can fuel your passion by being constrained. You can fuel your insights. you can sit down and work out a better way, and not be the person who, once they're tied up or once they're told to stand in the corner, accepts it, but to be like a surfer. When the waves are coming in, make the most of those sets, and surf those breaks that keep on coming in, and go up, down, round, get tubed, do whatever you have to do to enjoy the ride. And the last point that I want to dwell on is one that we always seem to want to talk about, and you need to surround yourself with people, because the people around you, you've got to be very selective and careful with who you surround yourself with and who you look up to and who you spend most of your time with, because the people around you influence you both consciously and subconsciously. Most people get the conscious part, what people tell you, what they say to you, how they cajole you, how they influence you directly. But there's also an undercurrent that you don't really see, you can't feel, but there's a subconscious level of influence that we all have on each other. And that subconscious influence can either be positive, it can be good for you, it can be enhancing, it can help you grow, develop and become a better person, or it can savage you, it can drain you, it can rip you apart. But one thing for sure and for certain is that you will be able to feel it. Your intuition, your gut feel will warn you about the people who are around you, who consciously may be saying the right things, the beautiful things, the supportive things. But subconsciously, you will notice, you will feel that things don't feel right. And sometimes you just need to go with your gut and protect yourself against these individuals, because their egos, their attitudes, their way of life, while seductive as it may seem, could be tremendously damaging to not only you, but to your family, your friends, and everybody you touch, because we end up becoming the average of the half dozen people that we hang out with. We've said this time and time again, so we need to be selective. We need to map out and be creative with who we let into our lives and who we let go of. So once again, thank you for joining me on Jim's 5am Club. It's a touchy subject. It's a confronting subject, but something that we need to talk about, something that we need to address in order for us all to live a better life and to not be imprisoned by things that sometimes we can't avoid. But once you're able to pinpoint it, once you're able to understand the game that is being played, then you're empowered to deal with it. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'll start heading back to work. I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and most importantly, let's take a few pages out of this book and learn how to embrace constraint, embrace limitations, and in many ways learn how to be the masters of creating limitation and imposing those limitations on ourselves in order to get ourselves moving and living the life that we deserve to live. Anyway, take care, yasas, and bye for now from Jim's 5am Club. Until tomorrow, bye, sasagapao, filakya, and take care.